What's up, YouTube? Today I'll be showing you how I hand sand my blades, and I'll show you some of the things that you might be interested in buying to do the same yourself. So, over here we have two small clamps. Really one is necessary, but I'll show you why two is great. A larger C-clamp, you could use one of those quick jaw clamps. I'm not a huge fan unless I'm doing repetitive work. A block of wood. These are fairing strips. I cut them down. I had some work over the summer with them. This is a nice 5-roll Sandpaper abrasives pack. Okay, it's made by Fulton. Comes with 5 rolls. You got your dimensions there. Okay. So, it's really nice. It comes with all different grits you'll need for hand sanding a blade, from 150 all the way up to 600. Okay. And I do enjoy this. I've been using this all the time for all different projects. Okay. We got our classic WD-40. And this is 3-in-1 oil, which is one of my favorite things in the shop. All right, so let me show you why this is a better option than just throwing your knife or your blade of any sort into a vise and hand sanding on there. Okay, I've had some questions about what's the difference if I were to use a vise or I was to use this method. And I will explain that, and I will show you the benefits of this and why I think it is much easier to use this method. Okay? So we have our block of wood here. Okay? We're going to tighten it down onto this table. Okay? Right here. Nice and tight. Go in a little bit more. Okay. Get it nice and secure. You're going to want it secure because you're going to be putting a lot of weight on it while you're hand sanding, okay? Alright, so let's take our blade. Now, as you can see, I brought this one up to a 600 grit finish. Okay, I don't know if you guys could pick it up on camera, although I would like you to see. Let's see if we can get it here. There you go. There's some bright spots along the top of the grind. I think that is from the light. Okay, so blade. Now, what you could do here, adjust the camera a little bit. Okay. What you could do is overhang your blade, okay, a little bit. I wouldn't do it fully. I would do it right about, you know, a little bit more, a little bit less than half, right? And I think it helps when you're coming over to the tip to, you know, get a nice on the bevel and straight up here, okay? So let me show you how we fasten the knife down onto the block of wood. We're going to use these small C-clamps, 2-inch. Now, these are great. I don't remember where I picked these up, but I find myself using these all the time. I recommend a good pair of small C-clamps, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to fasten our knife down to the block of wood. So we have a nice knife blade that is not moving. So sometimes I get a little bit of wiggle here from just one. That's why I said you could use two, but it's not necessary. I like to use two. I have a set, so why not? Now another thing is, if you are going to be doing, on and off work, back and forth, I'd recommend using the little quick jaw clamps, okay? And also another thing I would recommend, this tang is going to be all hidden under the handle. I'm going to be drilling it and putting brass pins in it. So I don't mind if I clamp down right on top of it. Some methods I've used, I'll put some tape, I'll put some copper with the tape, and, you know, it just helps. But this, I don't really mind, okay? So over here we have our 5 sandpaper grits. Now, I like to usually start sometimes at 150 if there's a lot of grinding lines in here. Sometimes I'll just start over here at 240. You know, if there's not deep gashes in here, you're good. If there is some, which I do usually get from the grinder, start out with your 150. You could even go a little bit lower, but I haven't had to in the past, okay? So what we're going to do here is we have our 3-in-1 oil, which works great, and your WD-40. So sometimes I'll use this, sometimes I'll use the 3-in-1. It really depends on what you have on hand. It doesn't really show a difference, but I would be curious to see if the WD-40 gives a better finish than the 3-in-1 or vice versa, and that would be a nice test that I'd like to do on this channel. So look forward to that. All right, so now I'm gonna get out my block, my sanding block that I showed you in the previous video. I got it over here in my tool chest, and we'll show you one of the great uses for it right here, remember? Okay? We'll show you what I meant by being able to have a lot of control. Now also, as if you can see here, we'll use this tip to point the plunge line, okay? If you're trying to sand right up to that plunge line, this is a great, great thing. You come in here right up to it, okay? And you get right up to that bump. Right there where the grind starts coming in and it's not grinded out here. That is an awesome thing to be able to do, because when you have flat sandpaper, you're grinding on top. You're using the abrasive all the way through. With this, you could come up to a certain point. If you have a guard or anything that you need to come right up to, you could do it properly with this, okay? So we have our 5 roll. So I took this about up to 400. So we're going to go right over to the 600 grit. Okay. I like to break off a piece around that size. Okay. About the size of a pointer finger. All right. I'll show you how I wrap it around. So I like to put it in the center and do a nice wrap around there. Okay. And then you have to use this side. The side without the cut off, or else this could mess up your finish. There's some paper, tough paper in there, and you really don't want that once you're up to 600 grit. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and try out the 3-in-1 oil. All right. So as you see here, I apply a generous amount on there. Okay. All right. So let's take a look here. Okay. Right up into that plunge. Now another thing is, you want to go up and down this way. Okay. So that's one of the reasons why you have your grinder, your belt grinder lines coming in this way from grinding the bezel. Sorry. Okay, and you want to remove those by coming this way. And I think it looks nicer with scratches going vertical. Much better than the scratches coming the short way rather than the long way. So as you can see here, okay, you have abrasive, and you could see the metal dust, okay, at the bottom of there. And that's what we cut. So a lot comes off in this method, even with 600 grit. Okay, and it looks so beautiful when you're done. Now also, up here on your flat part, you go straight. Then when you want to come to your bevel, you come right in at an angle, okay? And you take that across the bevel. All right? And like I said, you could come right in here and come right out. Now, the reason why I leave overhanging, to answer that question about doing this in a bench vise, you put in a bench vise, first of all, you can't grab it here. You'd have to grab it here. And then if you grabbed it here, you wouldn't have any support here. And when I'm doing this, I'm putting a lot of weight on top of this blade so that it is cutting properly. I mean, look at all that coming off of there. Okay? And this is 600 grit. Okay? Do a couple more strokes. And then I'll show you how I switch the sandpaper to the part that wasn't used. So what we'll do is we'll unfold it, come around, go back down, right? So we'll put that there, put that there. A second. Okay. Now we have clean surface there. We could go ahead and continue. All right. So let me get this going good here. Now also, you need to be very careful. I try to be super careful, and I've even, gone as far as getting a minor cut up here, because when you're hand sanding these blades, especially you're doing both sides, it allows the edge to really come into full force because of it giving a slight polishing and bringing it down to such a fine edge with the slight burr. It does become quite sharp, even on these tang areas. They could do some damage on your fingers. So I like to avoid this. So I really don't like to stand in front of it either, because this gets quite sharp. And if you were to come into this, it wouldn't be a good day. Okay? So let's wipe this off. All right? And it's looking nice. It's looking the way it should for 600 grit. Okay? See that? Looking very nice. So I would like to show you one more thing here, which is my cabinet where I keep most of my sandpaper. So this is a pack of sandpaper I got from Amazon, and it is very high grit. So you go from 120 to probably around, just guessing around 1,600, maybe 2,000. Okay, they're nice. They are not full sheets, so you could cut a piece and then use it with this method. All right, I like these. They, once you finish using your set of 5, you come over here and you really get it going. These are great. They're wet dry, so you apply your oils. All right, we'll come back in here. Now, these are my sanding belts that I use to grind the bevels. I got some at 1,000 grit, 80, 40, whatever, 120. Now, these are the brass rods that I will be putting. I'll be cutting them off with the saw, putting them in to the knife handle, and I think that'll work out nice, okay? These are the scales that I'll be using right here. Nice wood. All this stuff comes from Amazon, so nothing's too crazy expensive. All right. So let me just finish up here. I want to bring you in closer to see this blade finished up. So when you're done now, I'll stand here for hours doing these blades. I'm not really doing them too often, but when I do them, I like them to look nice. Now, this one's going to be a fishing, hunting, all-purpose knife here. Okay. Now, you could see, hopefully, there's some scratches in there. All right, but that's okay because we didn't go up past the 600, and they're all going this way towards the long way. Okay. All right. Okay. So again, to answer the question of why is this necessary over just using your regular bench vise. Again, support. I could put a lot of weight on here and it's not going anywhere. Okay? Also, like I use 2 C-clamps. Okay? It's held down fantastically. And without a bench vise gripping in here, I'd rather put a little bit of damage here, and you could use some type of soft clamping mechanism. If you put in your regular bench vise, you're going to really totally wreck that surface, okay? On the edges, and it just is better. I have a little bit here. I hit it with some sandpaper. I bring it to the grinder, and you're good, okay? You bring it over here. You have the dents. This is my final dimension, so I don't want to mess that up. You could take a little bit off of the surface, okay? So the 3 main things of why this method is much better than using a regular bench vise is, number 1, you could put your pressure on your sandpaper without a bench vise might pivot, okay? This, you have total support. You could have a lot of tie-down pressure with minimal damage. And you could also control the amount of overhang you have for when you're sanding. I like to sometimes come over this tip just a little bit to make it rounded. Sometimes on the grinder, I don't take it down fully. Okay? Right there. Not yet, at least. And I bring it with the sandpaper slowly. This is a very light bezeled design. Okay, you could see, I hope you could see, the difference between that side, which is to 400 grit, and that side. Okay, a little darker here. You see more scratches on there than there, okay? So thank you guys for tuning in. I really enjoyed showing this method to you. I hope that if you don't already know, you'll try it out. It's good for other things if you are doing a little bit longer blade. You have really anything you could use this for. Little parts you want to clamp down, you need a little overhang. It's a good method and it's not complicated at all to get set up. Piece of wood, a clamp, one little clamp, some oils, some abrasives. You're going to need a paper towel roll because this does get quite messy. You could see all that. Maybe I did about 10 strokes and you could see all of the steel that came off of there. Okay? So thank you guys for tuning in. I will be posting a video on my next subject, which is probably going to be part 1 of finishing this knife. I'm thinking of finishing this one, or we're going to go and we're going to start a new one. So thank you guys. Check out my YouTube channel, my Instagram, and please follow and subscribe and like. Really make a difference. All right, guys. See you later.